Hi, I'm Sean.
And I'm John.
And welcome to the...
Well, today what we're going to do is we're with the Eau Claire Area School District Alternative Program. This is presented by Wisconsin Nutrition Education Program and through Community TV. And what are we going to do today, Sean?
We're going to make some banana bread.
Real good banana bread. Okay, read the recipe here, Sean, and let everybody know what we're going to be doing.
It calls for 1 1/3 cups of mashed, very ripe bananas, large bananas, 2/3 cup sugar, 1/4 cup milk, 3 tablespoons vegetable oil, 3 eggs, 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla, 2 2/3 cups of baking mix from the biscuit, and 1/2 chopped nuts.
Yep, and that's the recipe. And what we did already is we preheated the oven to 350 degrees.
All ready to go.
It's all ready to go. And what Sean's going to do is he's going to start mixing some of the ingredients. And something that's a little bit different today, what we're doing, is we're going to be using the Bisquick. And you could use the Jiffy Mix or Bisquick, one of those types of mixes. And what's a little bit different today is we're using this instead of the flour and the baking powder and baking soda. And why did we decide to do that today, Sean?
Because it would be much more easier to use that instead of, having to pre-measure when it's already measured for us.
Right, exactly. So what we're going to do right now is Sean's going to get some things mixed together. I'm going to chop up the walnuts, and then we're just going to get started here. One thing we did notice with using the Bisquick is, in comparison to the other ingredients, is I noticed that, we did this for practice, and I noticed that with the Bisquick, it came out a little bit lighter in color. But what I did, a big thing, is that it really filled up the pan and just started boiling up higher and higher. And we discovered that we put too much in the pan, it spilled over, it went into the oven. But fortunately, somebody had the idea that the bottom of the oven would be lined. Are you having trouble here, Sean?
There's the milk.
There's the milk. I'll get you some of the ingredients moved over here.
Thank you.
Getting that okay? Yep. Who's going to get things mixed up? Then I'll move the bowl over here so he can get things stirred up in there before we put the Bisquick in. And I'm going to start chopping up the nuts here. It asks for, if I'm not mistaken, what is it? 1/2 cup of chopped nuts. All I did is I pre-measured it in here, and they're pretty big, so it's already considered chopped nuts, but I like them a little bit smaller in the recipe. And as you can see, I keep my fingers away, my hand on the handle, and I hold this end down. And I just very slowly go across it, make them a little bit smaller.
Can you pass the eggs, please?
Oh, 3 eggs.
3 eggs.
We'll watch Sean do this. This will be fun.
I could actually reuse this for the eggshells. Since,
That's not a bad idea. What we could do is put the used eggshells in there, and then we don't make a mess and get that cross-contamination. Good. Actually, he did a nice job last time, too. So we'll just see what happens. There's 2. I'll continue to chop the nuts here. And 1 more. And some of the students, when we did this, some preferred the nuts in it, others preferred just the plain. And you could do it either way. It doesn't matter. It's to your preference. You got that, Sean?
Yeah, I got a little eggshell in there. I would use a fork to get that out.
Where is it?
Little eggshell right there.
Ah, I see. Why don't we use, I believe we got a spoon right here. There, why don't you use the spoon and scoop that out and just put that back in the dish. And as I was saying, some students preferred nuts in the bread, others preferred just plain bread, and that's just to your preference on whatever you would prefer. Some recipes that we saw, they put in peanuts, walnuts, any kind of nut that you might prefer. All right, I think we're ready to go with the nuts. They're chopped up small enough. What I'll do is I'll start measuring for Sean, because he's going to mix that up. I want to bring that over here, Sean, and you can see that better.
Bring that right over.
I'll get some of this stuff out of the way. Do you got sugar in there, Sean?
Everything is in.
Okay. Get this stuff out of the way so you can see Sean mix that up. Excuse me. And if you notice, you can see here I'm just going to use a spoon to scoop that in there. What we need, I believe, is 2 2/3 cup. You could scoop it out of there. What it tends to happen is it gets all smashed down, and you may get more ingredient in there than you should have. And typically, we just have this. Got that ready, Sean, for one? Mm-hmm. Mix that up a little bit better.
A good idea to do while he pours in the mix is to keep going, and so it's not as lumpy as just lumpy.
Yeah, and you could mix this up too much. What happens is it ends up getting tougher. The bread is a little bit tougher. Yeah, I'm making a mess here, but that's all right. It'll get cleaned up. There's 2. What else do I need?
You need a 2/3. So you need the 1/3 cup right here.
Oh, very good. We were going to pre-measure this and just put it in a bowl, but we decided, man, maybe it'd be a good idea. We could show the audience kind of what a mess it can make. Mm-hmm. Also noticed with this, and I don't know if it's right or not, but it seems a little stickier than the other one that we used. This is a brand new box. There we go. Sean is going to get that mixed up. Boy, John, you sure did make a mess. Holy cow. And I'm going to get the pan ready. We did use a smaller pan before, like I said, and it boiled over. And I think you'll notice that when we're done mixing this and we put it in the pan, it should be pretty close to 2/3 full. And I do believe with a bigger pan, everything will work out just fine. Also, what we did do previously is I sprayed it, and then we put a little bit of flour in there and patted it around and moved it around. I don't know if that made any difference or not, but we did notice with the Bisquick that it seemed to stick to the pan more than when we used the flour and the baking soda and baking powder ingredients. I think that's pretty good, Sean. Mm-hmm. And it seemed to stick more. In fact, got to the point of really manipulating and shaking it to get it to come out as a whole loaf. But it did work, and if you are patient with it and make sure it cools, it will come out of the pan. Okay, Sean, what we'll do is I'll hold it, and you can scrape. And as you probably don't see it, but there's a little bit of powder in there. Oh, the nuts. We forgot to put the nuts in, but that's all right. We'll sprinkle them in there.
Mm-hmm. Nuts on top, like a topping.
Well, you got that? I think what we're going to do is really scrape it out. We're about half full. And it doesn't matter. It's still going to come out to be a beautiful loaf of bread, as you will see. And the thing is, what's interesting about this, other cooking shows, we talk about how good everything smells. Pretty much all we smell is bananas right now. And just move that out of the side. And all I'm going to do is scrape in a few of the walnuts here. That way. And despite it not being mixed in there, we did make a mistake, but that's not the end of the world. All you do is just mix it in there a little bit, so that everybody gets a chance to have a little bit of the walnuts in the bread.
One thing I forgot to mention at the beginning is it's better to have ripe bananas than it is to have non-ripe bananas.
Why is that, Sean?
Because it's easier to get all mixed in.
Well, what's the difference between a ripe banana and a not ripe banana?
A ripe banana is soft, mushy, and a banana is usually just long and hard.
Yeah, and what happened with these bananas? How did we get them to be soft, mushy bananas when I got them from the store? And they were still pretty, I mean, they were eating bananas. They were ready to go. They weren't overly ripe. So what did we do?
Well, it's easy. We throw it into the freezer, let it get frozen for a day or so, and next day we can make banana bread.
Yeah, we thawed them out, and it just breaks down all the fibers and stuff, makes them mushy, and it really mixes into the mix real well.
And it's better than throwing them away.
Better than throwing them away, yep. Well, as you can see, we have this all ready to go. It's going to be put into the oven, and in, what is it, about an hour. And what I've noticed, too, is it says 50 to 60 minutes. We had smaller pans, and it was in the oven, about an hour and 10 minutes. And the way you test it is you take a toothpick, and you put it in the center, and you pull it out. And when you look at the toothpick, what should it be in order to know it's done?
Clean.
It should be clean, which means there's no batter that's stuck to it. And if it's not, slide it back in the oven. In 5 minutes, check it again. And depending on how dirty the toothpick was with the batter, will determine how long it has to be in there. And ours was about 10 minutes longer, so it was actually closer to 70 minutes that it was in there, not the hour. And what we're going to do is stick this in the oven, and away we go. We'll see what we end up with. Thank you.
See you at the table. Welcome back. The banana bread's done. I have added some fruit and vegetables, a glass of milk. There's the walnuts inside the bread count as protein, and the bread itself will count as grain. And then the milk here counts as dairy. And yeah, this will be a great after school or lunch snack. Enjoy.
This program was recorded and presented by Chippewa Valley Community Television. Chippewa Valley Community Television is made possible by continuing community support. If you'd like to volunteer or make a donation, you can contact us by calling 715-839-5067 or on the web at www.cvctv.org.